blood, pus, poking a needle into somebody's tissue.
The industry itself is so different, and we are very different in the industry.
What do you do to make someone's first piercing memorable?
Anybody can learn how to pierce, really.
Curious a little bit about like how you developed into like the first few stages of kind of like building it out.
You have to get a health permit and be inspected.
That's it.
But that's it.
You don't have to technically be like a certified piercer, which is scary, right?
I'm a firm believer, though, in just like going with something and giving it a shot.
What would you say was like kind of like your biggest surprise of kind of going into the business?
Thank you too for coming on the podcast. This is the Where to Get Started podcast. So for our listeners, Lindsey and Hailey are co-founders of Groovy Piercing?
Groovy Peach?
Groovy Peach.
Tyler
Sorry,
got it.
Groovy Peach
Ask Tyler.
Piercing. Yeah, Tyler knows more than I do.
Yeah.
Groovy Peach Piercing Co.
Okay,
Yes.
and you're in Utah.
Uh-huh.
And how many locations do you have?
We have 3.
3 locations.
Mhm. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you two are professional piercers and also business owners. So the whole purpose of this podcast is like to understand where you got started, what like was inspiration, and you know the times when we're all sitting in class in elementary school and the teacher's like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" It's like, "I want to be a doctor, I think." Or maybe you're.
I'm sure that's what you were thinking, right? I want to own a piercing.
I want to own a
business.
piercing
Exactly.
business.
I knew from a young age I wanted to be a piercer. Pierce all the ears I possibly could.
Well, so tell us about this. How did you get to this point? Like, were you working for Claire's or were you working for some business of like, hey, I could do this better? Like, what was kind of the progression of you two getting to where you are now?
Okay, so
And you're sisters, by the way.
We're sisters.
We're sisters.
We are sisters.
Correct.
Yes. So how this happened, me and Lindsey had always been talking about, we want to start a business together. We had all these ideas. We had tried out a couple of things. Lindsey can tell you about it in a bit. We had some kind of funny experiences there. But how this kind of started was at the time, Lindsey was a stay-at-home mom with her girls, and I was working for Alice Lane. It's an interior design firm.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Loved my job there. I was just working on sourcing there with them, and I had gone to get my nose pierced and my lobe from a piercer, and she did a great job. And I just felt like it was a better experience than Claire's or a tattoo shop. It was in a small salon suite, which you're seeing a lot of like piercers kind of pop up in, and that's where we started Groovy Peach as well. But I went to get my nose pierced, and I was like, okay, this is fun. This wasn't intimidating. It wasn't some tattooed, like kind of scary guy that's like, makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable or like I don't belong here. And it was a great experience. And I also felt like it could be better, and it could be even more fun, and it could be a better brand, and something that people come and truly are like, oh my gosh, that was really, really fun, and I want to get pierced again. So I remember leaving that appointment, and I called Lindsey, and I was like, hey, I'm like, we have to do this, and like, I need you. Something about Lindsey, she has a really great healthcare background. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, but she had worked at Primary Children's and IMC for years, and so she had like the healthcare side of things. And then I had come from like the tech industry. I had worked for a few different tech firms in more of like the marketing sales side of things, and then my latest job at the time was working for Alice Lane, doing kind of like some of their sourcing, international sourcing. I sourced a lot of accessories for the J. Bennett line, and it was really, really fun. So I had kind of like the creative side of things, and Lindsey had this amazing like healthcare side of things, which you very much need for piercing. And a lot of people don't have that going into the piercing industry. And so we just kind of joined forces, and started from there. And she is always up for anything, probably almost even more than I am.
She's your ride or die.
Yeah, she is.
You're like, I call Lindsay
Let's
up and
go.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Lindsay,
Yeah.
I need a truck, $200, and
I think I've
She
done
doesn't
that
ask questions,
goat.
so she
Charge
goes.
She's
taking.
like,
You can't ask me any questions.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
no question, and a goat, and no questions.
I
And
feel
she's
like this was on a movie one time.
Mine are yours.
She's like, all right, my
Yeah.
truck, your truck. How big's the goat?
I love it. I think we've actually had this exact scenario play out before.
Yeah.
So
Undoubtedly.
So anyway, that's really
Cool.
it was very quick moving. It was like no looking back. I think that it just catapulted into something like so much more than we really
Sure.
even thought it would be. I think we both were like, okay, you know, this would give us flexibility. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, at the time I had a 4-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can be home with him more, and I can make my own schedule, which is really funny because I have gone through times when, yes, I definitely I make my own schedule, but also it's been so incredibly busy for both of
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
But it also feels amazing because it's like, at least I'm choosing this, and
Sure.
this is something that we're getting to choose, and we're doing it together.
Mhm.
And it makes those choices sometimes like a little bit easier. Like, I am lucky to be able to do this and to be busy, and that our business is busy.
Yeah.
But-
So it's interesting when you're talking about, you say you had an experience, like, and a lot of people, I think they think when they want to be business owners, they think about, you know, a problem to solve or something they're trying to do. You go into the studio, and I think that people oftentimes have this like dichotomy between the places that they're picking, right? They're like, oh, I want to get a piercing. I either choose a place like Claire's, which is like, feels like what's it, like a,
Dirty?
no,
no, I'm just kidding. Not dirty.
no, but it's like one of
Claire's
those,
is
like,
great.
it's like the shops where it's just like, oh, in and out. They don't really care about you. It's not about
Yeah.
customer service. They're all about trying to like pitch you things, and it feels like you're more like inside of a Walmart, and they just so happen to sell glasses kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's like, oh, we're in this place where we sell you jewelry, and we just happen
Convenience.
to give you piercing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
convenience. Or the other side where you're talking about these tattoo shops where, you know, maybe there's a population of people who don't necessarily identify as well with it, like they don't the whole tattoo, or they want to get more conventional piercings, or maybe they're not used to going to these sorts of places. And you're saying, hey, like, this is the place where there's a gap that we're seeing here, right? So after you got the phone call, Lindsey, like, you've been working in the business or you've been working in healthcare. You get the phone call from her, and she says, hey, let's do this. Did you feel like this is like, oh, my calling? This
A
is the kind of thing I
no-brainer.
wanna do?
I would say it was an evolution. It took time to get to this is my calling, and it's a no-brainer. To give a little bit of background about myself, I was a stay-at-home mom, and my kids, I'd been in that position for probably around 8 years at that point.
Yeah.
And throughout all this time, I had many little entrepreneurial startups of my own. Some worked better than others. I'm a firm believer, though, in just like going with something and giving it a shot and failing and trying again and continuing to fail. And that's really where I see a lot of the success of Groovy Peach. Is it was after many tries, something that really worked, and it really worked well. And then we've just continued to work at it. And that's a lot of the beauty of what that is. To give you an idea of some of my funny little businesses over the years, if you're interested.
Let's hear 'em.
I tutored college statistics.
Oh, nice.
She's
I hate stats.
desperate for money. Like I would meet people at the library. My mom would come with my baby and like walk around with my baby and help while I was like teaching math. I detailed cars
Oh yeah, okay.
in our neighborhood. I did that when my kids were really little too, for probably like a summer. Another business, we started a cleaning business together.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Here's what I got out of that. We went on our very first job. It was horrific. Hailey and I showed up and we're like,
To clean?
yeah,
Yeah.
someone's house.
Yeah.
No, could not.
No thanks. Okay.
However, prior to like the actual job, I had a really fun time learning how to build a website.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so I learned something from that.
Yeah.
And that has been one of the skills that I think you can just take with you. And why I think it's always worthwhile to pursue something and try it, because you're going to learn something and take it with you. But you have to be willing to give it a shot and like maybe look foolish or maybe feel foolish or put yourself really outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's fine. The cleaning business, it sounds like one of those things where you're like, oh, someone can pay us to do this. And then you go into the house and you come out and you're like, you could not pay me to
don't
do
pay
this.
me to-
Oh, I think that
Yeah.
was our exact
Yeah, I was like, how did I get myself here? What am I doing? Why is this toilet so dirty?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
This isn't me.
Yeah.
It was.
People
I'm
live
not
like
cut out
this?
for this.
Do you remember the bathroom had carpet?
Oh, no.
Those are
I
the
blocked,
worst.
I blocked
Those
most
are
of that
gross.
out, to be honest with you. It was a one and done job.
Yeah.
I have a really nice cleaning kit in my house to this
Okay.
day that I still use, and it's in this cute little husky bag I got from Home Depot, and it's very organized, and I have a really nice steam cleaner, and I still use all that stuff.
That's
and
so
Nice.
funny.
We've
And
actually
it's come in
used
handy.
the steam cleaner at Groovy Peach.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
You guys
cool.
have-
yeah,
Very
see?
nice.
That thing has paid for itself a bunch
Already.
of times.
Already.
But to answer your question more about that, so was it immediate? No. Was I immediately interested in the idea?
Mhm.
Absolutely. Like super thrilled. It felt like a really, really good marriage of things that Hailey and I were both passionate about. And to add more color to that, we were also really passionate about ear piercings.
Mm.
The reason why Hailey noticed that gap and wanted to fill it is because we had been at a point in our lives where we probably had like, I don't know, 3 or 4, 5 ear piercings, something like that. I had
Mhm.
gone by myself for my 30th birthday and gotten my nostril pierced and my second lobes pierced.
Mhm.
And I was like so excited to have those piercings, and I never walked away from that feeling like it was super negative or super positive. It was just kind of a neutral type of experience,
Yeah.
and there was just nowhere else to go. So I was like, yeah, I'll just keep going back there and getting more piercings. And so I really didn't know at that time that what the regulation was in Utah around becoming a body piercer, and like that it was even an option that you could go somewhere besides Claire's or one of these long established piercing studios
Right.
in Utah. And so that's just what I was doing and where I was going. And when Hailey had this experience with a piercer in a smaller salon suite space, and we realized, okay, let's like read the Salt Lake County health regulation and find out what our options are. Is this a possibility? And like, wow, it really was. And due to my like extreme confidence I have in myself and my willingness to try a lot of things, it
Yeah.
was immediately like,
Let's do it.
yeah, duh. Like, why wouldn't we? And so we jumped into it. And a lot of people, my husband included, my parents specifically, were pretty like skeptical of this one.
Sure.
Remember, there's like lots of little random side gigs going on like throughout my life.
Yeah, they're like,
And-
oh, it's another project of Lindsay.
yeah, and they were like, wait, like piercings, you're doing body piercings. And to respond to Hailey talking about my experience in healthcare, I was actually really interested in the art of piercing. Like I loved my piercings on my ears. I had always loved at Primary Children's. I had worked in the lab, like drawing blood. I was a phlebotomist, and so it was something that I had years of experience with, and I really liked. And I was going to college at the U while I worked there, and I had wanted to become a nurse. And as I was going to school, trying to become a nurse and working at the hospital, I realized I don't want to work in the hospital. Like, this is not what I like, but has always been things that I really liked about it. I love science. I love seeing people, but not in a healthcare setting. It's a very different type of interaction if I compare that with our interaction with our clients at Groovy Peach. And it wasn't for me. And I figured that out, changed my major, got out of nursing, got a degree in human development and family studies, and then I was working as a stay-at-home mom. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I know there was always something about healthcare that I really liked, not enough to like draw me into becoming a nurse, but when this opportunity and this idea came about because of Hailey, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And then immediately I fell in love with piercing, and it was meeting a lot of just like deep down interests that I had not thought about for a long time. And so slowly from there, we just really got to know like the what we were doing as far as piercing people, being comfortable in educating them about their piercings, how to care for them, growing our skills in being able to like give really good quality, safe piercings to our clients. And all along the way, I just feel like the client experience has been the differentiating part of our business and what has made us really successful. And that comes really just innately to both Hailey and I. And so about 6 months into that is, I think, when we reached a point where we're like, okay, maybe we could, I had never really thought of like growing it into a business. I, same as Hailey, was very happy in my life as a stay-at-home mom. We traveled a lot. My husband has a very busy career. I was like, I'm a very big hobbyist. I was taking roller skating lessons with my 3 girls all the time. Like, we just have funny things we love to do. And I saw this as a way to just have some extra income, something fun to do.
Side hustle.
Side hustle. And so it wasn't like immediate that I was like, oh yeah, we're going to open 3 locations and like build an apprenticeship program and a curriculum to train people on how to pierce and like have 1,000 Google reviews and all these things. That was never right at the forefront of my mind. But the moment like we started to think about it and talk about it, then there was no other choice but to just go for it. And that's kind of, I would say, the sped up. You got the long intro,
sure,
and then the very small sped up of like then to now.
I'm assuming that when you got your piercing and this idea kind of came, and when you called, neither of you were licensed to be able to do piercing at the time, is my assumption, right? No. Okay, so
no,
did you do it? Not. Did one of you do it first, or did you both do it at the same time to get like to figure out how it was to do it?
So this is like, okay, so this is how the conversation went with Lindsey. So I call her up, okay? I had also been trying to be like, okay, I have to keep working.
Yeah.
This is going to hopefully replace my income.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, we got to figure this out. I think I was same with Lindsey at the beginning, like did not think it would quite go into as what it's turned into.
Sure.
But when I did call her up and we were talking about like what to do, I was like, okay, you have the healthcare background. You need to go and you need to figure out how to pierce.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can handle the creative side of things. I can build the brand. I can make it look like what it needs to look like. And, I also don't want to learn how to pierce and be like the first one to do it.
You're like, things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Put needles through people's bodies. You're like,
and eventually I have. And honestly, like, I think that I had never worked in healthcare. Like, obviously my background was completely different than Lindsey's, but, and I have learned how to do that. And actually it's been very surprising that blood, pus, poking a needle into somebody's tissue, like, really does not get to me at all. And that's actually been something that, like, I'm like, wow, I've learned that about myself, and I'm like proud of myself that way. But Lindsey was the one that went and got trained. And then once Lindsey was trained, she practiced a lot, and she slowly taught me. Okay. And I think something that was really awesome, we can talk more about like the training too. Training in Utah is really interesting.
I was gonna mention that.
Let's get in the technical of like, if you want to learn how to pierce, so what is the things that you need to do and or be certified,
if at all? Yeah.
So what's pretty shocking is there's really not a lot.
There's no official certification.
Interesting.
Really?
Like within the state, yes, you do have to like abide by
if you want to open. If you want to be a piercer and open a store, you have to get a health permit and be inspected.
That's it.
But that's it.
But you don't have to technically be like a certified piercer, which is scary, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, that is very prevalent in the industry. And
but that's like that has no limitations on what you can pierce. Like, I know that there's lots of different pierce. I'm like looking at the camera. Like, lots of things that you can pierce.
Yeah.
And it's like no regulation on
There's
what.
Like your ear.
Minimal amount of regulation to give you all, like, to get into the details of it.
Yeah.
Claire's a piercing gun. They define that as the outer ear.
Mhm.
That's as like in the weeds as the health department across all counties on the Wasatch Front really like know about it is if you can pierce the outer cartilage and lobe with a gun, and if you want to do any inner ear piercings, you've got to use a needle. And they don't get any more strict than that.
And with a needle, you still don't technically like have to have a certification, which is unfortunate, right? Because
no certification surrounding
no license,
no licensing,
no.
Wow.
So
Weird.
there's a lot of piercers who will teach people how to pierce, and they'll charge an obscene amount for somebody to learn how to pierce,
Like an apprenticeship.
in like 2 days. It's
Oh.
like a
They
weekend
are
course.
calling it like it's a 3-day course. These are all over Utah, and that's the pathway for the majority of people who are getting into piercing.
That's
Same
right.
as myself. That is exactly what I did because there was no other option.
Yeah, you're like, who else? How else?
And
Yeah.
at the end of that, I had maybe pierced 20 total people, and some of the piercings I had only done one of. That you are not competent. Like competency is not built in
Sure.
3 days of a fast-paced piercing course with someone just kind of like guiding you as you stumble along and try and figure it out. So to that end, paid a lot of money to become certified and really didn't get much of an education. And so from there, where Hailey says that after that, Lindsey slowly learned, practiced, and then started to teach me. That's really what it was.
Yeah.
It was watching a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of TikToks, reading endlessly, and practicing and having to just be comfortable with explaining to people that I was learning and people are okay with that. And over time, competency was built, and I am a really strong piercer.
Mhm.
At this point now, can confidently say that I do consider myself a master piercer, and same as Hailey. And that takes a really long time. And so maybe like leading into Groovy Peach, it was about a year and a half into our business before we hired anybody else and even thought about training them, because I felt like I needed to be really sure-footed in what I'm doing before I even think about something like that. And
Sure.
over time now, we've developed and built an in-house curriculum, complete with like quizzes and slide decks and hands-on practical learning and grading rubrics. It's very, very robust and structured, and we're producing piercers that are really competent. And there's guardrails along the way to ensure that like our clients are still getting really safe piercings, but there's not anywhere else in Utah that is teaching people to pierce in this way, because the majority of people really are falling prey, in my opinion, to these quick cash grabs of people who are really not even sure-footed in their piercing skills and are asking people to pay them thousands of dollars for a 2 to 3 to 4 day course, and then they're just off on their own and have to figure it out.
And we still do have people reach out to us consistently, like, hey, can you teach me how to pierce? Do you guys offer piercing courses? And it's like, no, we don't. The only people that we train are going to be employees of
And
Groovy
we
Peach.
pay.
That's
We also
interesting.
we have a paid apprenticeship, so
Oh,
our
okay.
piercers are paid as they're learning, where there is nobody else doing that either. For the most part, they're paying to learn, and they're getting a pretty incomplete education.
So someone can't pay outside of these
That's
courses.
wild to me.
People can't go to like a trade school and get any education on learning how to pierce.
So there are like med spas and different places. Like to give you an idea, like our piercers currently train for like just months at this point, and we ramp them up so that they can be successful, because really client experience is still top of list for us. That
Sure.
is what differentiates Groovy Peach, and that is what Lindsey and I are so passionate about, and what we've always been passionate about. And that's how we learned. And I think that is how we built a lot of our brand and what people know us for, and they know that we're going to take care of them, and they know that we care. And when we were learning and ramping up, it was you know, our prices reflected that. We would always communicate with people like, hey, this is a piercing that I am still apprenticing on. I'm still learning. We're going to work through this together. And I think that's why it just worked so well for us is I do believe, and I am proud of this to this day, I think that we really handled it with a lot of integrity, and we built a lot of trust with our clients, and we really gave them the best experience that we possibly could. Especially maybe in the very beginning when you're learning, is every piercing going to be 100% perfect all the time? Like, no, it's not. Like, you're human and you're learning. But I think that it was the relationship that we built with our clients and the fun experience that we gave them. They come into our studio and there's so many different things to look at. I know your daughters have been.
Yeah, my daughters have been. Yeah.
And it's just, it's experiential and it's fun and it's a vibe, and not everybody can do that. And that's something that like we've come together to do. And so I think that people were really willing to overlook sometimes some things that maybe weren't always perfect in the beginning, and know that we're still here to take care of them, and we would do everything we could to just give them the best possible outcome for both their piercing and their entire experience and their healing journey.
Yeah.
And I think it's just worked amazing for us there.
Do you guys? Well, okay, all right. That's so many questions coming to mind. I got to pick which one I want to ask first.
Pick one.
Okay. Do you pierce anything?
No.
Okay. What?
Thank
like?
God.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I think like there's some piercing places that I've been to, and it's like, okay, you look at someone and kind of given it's, you know, things on the face, right? The nose, the lips, tongue, ears, etc. But then it's like the things you can't see. Like, I would assume that there would be additional training for those things and knowing like nerves and whatever else. But like, what's kind of like your guys' limitations, or what's like, we won't do this or we only do these things?
So like Hailey said, really the piercing is, in my opinion, one small piece of what we do. And overall, we are differentiated on the experience that we give our clients. And most people, like if you look at my ears, I have 20 piercings on them and they're heavily pierced. That's not the case for most people. The majority of people who go to get a piercing are only going to get that once or twice or maybe 3 times in their life. And we treat that as a really big moment for them, and we want to turn that into a core memory. And I want any little girl or teen walking out of Groovy Peach to have this amazing memory that they will look back on fondly for their lives. And so to that end, we focus on our soft skills, and that includes our client experience, all the steps we take leading up to an appointment, what happens when they're there at the appointment, and the care that we give them after they've left. And we're niched down in the types of piercings that we offer for that reason.
We have a bread and butter.
The
Piercings that we do very, very well.
So you focus on facial, ears, or
the craziest we get is a navel.
Nostrils,
Navel, okay.
and
Oh, okay.
And that's really like the clientele that we are targeting in our marketing, and they connect with us and that find what they're looking for at Groovy Peach.
Did you have another question?
Go for it.
Okay, so
I'll come back.
The one that I was thinking of was, you have this vision, right? Of course, of what you want to create in the long run, and you start with literally nothing. So I'm curious a little bit about like how you developed into like the first few stages of kind of like building it out, and like some of the big like surprises or gotchas or things that are like, oh, I didn't consider this, as you were moving from taking something that you had this end goal in mind but started with nothing. Like, tell us a little bit about like that journey of going through
some roadblocks,
some rocks that you turned over, and you're like, oh.
We've had a lot of roadblocks, but this is actually, me and Lindsey laugh about this all the time. I think we were just having dinner last night together, and my husband says to us, so we started in this tiny, Linz, what do you think it is? 8x8 room.
It was smaller than
square
this, maybe?
80
Oh, wow.
80 square feet.
We started
salon
in
suite.
80 square feet foot salon suite.
Just like one bed.
One
literally
room.
one room.
It's a 1,600, picture this, a 1,600 square foot retail space divided into 10 different suites within it.
Jeez.
And we had
Our
the smallest
suite
one.
was the smallest one, and it was 80 square feet. That's
Wow.
where we started
Yeah.
Groovy Peach.
Okay.
We did
Not
everything.
sure where you're going with that, but I want to hear.
Keep
So,
going.
as far as
So,
roadblocks go.
as far as like, and well, I think you talked about maybe the evolution too,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
the
kind of
evolution,
where.
yeah.
So that is literally where we started. So I remember we signed the lease in September of 2022.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Was it
we-
more or less than you expected the lease to be? Like, I
It,
don't know.
it was how much Lindsey knows. Lindsey remembers these numbers more. She's our numbers girl. What,
I think our rent there
900?
was about $750 a month
Okay.
at that time.
For this
Feels like
box.
Oh, it was really high, to be honest,
Yeah.
per square foot.
You're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at the time we were just like, okay, we just have to like pierce enough, make enough, like get enough appointments that we can make our rent,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that
Gotta break even.
we're not going to be in the hole, because that's just going to suck to tell our husbands like, hey, guess what?
Our project
I
is
quit
not
my
working.
job, and also
Yeah, remember how
now
I
you're-
told you
now
I was
you're
going to
tied
be a
to this
piercer
lease.
and you were very dubious? So I got to make this work out.
Yeah.
Can I borrow
So-
$500?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So, and they've always honestly been amazing, incredibly supportive of us.
Yeah.
Had the kids late nights when we were first starting out. Sometimes we were piercing until 11 o'clock at night just to fit when we started to really like get some traction. And
Mhm.
we had people coming in and just wanting to get pierced, and me and Linz would just stay as late as we needed to get these appointments done.
Sometimes we would have clients come in, and without asking Hailey, I'd be like, yep, we'll pierce you. Of
Nice.
course. And then I'd be like, Hailey, we got more. We're staying till 11.
Yeah.
We're here
Sorry.
late tonight.
So it was fun that way. So we started in this tiny space. It was really fun. We color drenched it. It was like this dark eggplant, like very 70s vibe, like Groovy Peach
Mhm.
looking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we have obviously, we have, what's the word I'm looking for? We've evolved over the years, and with that, our brand has evolved too. And I love where it's at right now. I love where it's been for a long time, and we've kind of gone into a little bit like lighter colors, but it's still
Mhm.
groovy and fun, and it's dopamine everywhere, and it's just awesome. And I tell people sometimes they come in and they're like, "How does this look like this? Like what? How do you get this stuff up on the walls?" I have like French fries on the walls and like fun
Nice.
things, and I'm like, I don't know. This is what my brain looks like on the inside. And
Yeah.
it's crazy and it's wild and it's disorganized, but it's fun.
But also organized.
In the best way. And also Lindsey is there she's also incredibly creative, and she's also creative in different ways too. And just like being able to work through both like the branding side of things, and then also you're talking about like roadblocks.
Yeah.
We've hit so many of them, and it's like, what can we do to fix this? How do we work around this? And I love working with Lindsey on that, because we've had days and days of just locking ourselves in rooms and being like, we have this problem, we have this issue. How can we work around it? How
Mhm.
can we make this better? And it's really amazing that we can use creativity in every aspect of our business. And it's not just our brand that people really have like come to recognize. And I think it's so special. And for the rest of my life, I will be proud of like the brand that we've built at Groovy Peach, and visually how it is, but also it's like Lindsey said, how we treat people, the amazing like services and products that we offer, and also how we work through problems that just will constantly come your way as a business owner.
One fun story that comes to
Oh
mind.
yeah, no, I love
If
stories.
you want to hear a good roadblock story.
Yeah.
Last year we were getting ready to open up our Bountiful store, our third location.
Mhm.
Construction was underway, mostly done, pretty close, ready to open. And we found out that, I'm trying to think of exactly how this went at the time. It was pretty devastating. I went to Bountiful City to get our business license, only to figure out that they, as a city, have much stricter regulations surrounding body piercing shops than any other city we had opened stores in to date. And we couldn't just open up a piercing shop, even though I had signed a 7-year lease and
had built it out.
And
you're like, we want to open in like 2 weeks, and you're telling me you can't do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is just like a lesson that had to be learned, and I will never make that mistake again. Like in opening another location is like the first thing that I'm gonna, like in my mind, I'd read the health regulation, but I'm like, oh yeah, I
You thought they were
assumed that
statewide.
the city
Right.
would be happy to have us there.
Yeah.
And like, no, very conservative. And did they want a body piercing shop? Not particularly. And did it happen? Yes. And we worked with them and we worked it out, but it was a huge delay and it required a lot of due diligence on my end to put together a huge application, meet with the zoning committee, come to them with a slide deck of who we are and like, please approve us, please let us come do business in your city and like have mercy on our souls because we're here. And it worked out. It was a very stressful about 4 to 6 weeks last year as we were working through that and had to delay our opening, and
they had a
really
city
planning
council
on
meeting
that.
on it.
They had a
Was it-
city council
It
meeting?
wasn't city council.
Or
It was
was
the
it- what
planning
was
and
it?
zoning.
A planning and zoning meeting?
That's what
Right.
it-
But it was a
any-
city meeting.
But
that
like
they
any
had.
resident could come, and we were just like, okay, who's gonna show up and be like, we don't want to have a body piercer.
Sure.
And like we had people in our corner. Our contractor came and was there as a support, and he wasn't even needed. But our landlord was also speaking up on our behalf. And there's along the way, people are so good, and for the most part, I do think that things will usually work out. It doesn't mean that these roadblocks that come up are not completely stressful and scary in the moment, but really you have to work through it. There's no other way forward other than to do that. And I think that's a lot of what business is.
Mhm.
And that's
And
what
it
I found with
teach us
Groovy Peach.
a
I could
great
probably
lesson.
sit here and just like list off roadblocks all day and we can laugh about it.
I'm curious about, so you provide a service to people, but then you also provide a product to people in order to complete that service.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us about maybe some things that you didn't know about, like inventory management or getting your jewels or your rings or whatever. Like, what did that look like? How do you manage that? What are the things that you have to do in order to manage all of those things?
Yeah, no, a quick I do remember, because like Lindsey and I, we know each other because we live in a similar neighborhood. I remember one time that we were talking about, and when I asked you like, oh, how's the business going? You're like, oh, I don't know. I just had to spend X thousands of dollars on inventory that I wasn't planning on. So hopefully that works out.
Yeah.
All right, but that was the one conversation I remember us having at one point. But I think it's a great question. Like the whole, like
Yeah.
you guys going from, oh, like here's our small space to like helping a small group of people out to now scaling. Both in terms
Yeah,
of
I don't
inventory
want to say it's like
supplies.
easy to provide a service, but like if you're good at
Sure.
something, it's like, okay, I got this locked down.
Yeah.
I can do this for people. But then it's like, oh, I have to learn this other thing that I've never managed thousands or tens
Supply
of thousands of
chain,
supply
yeah.
supply
and
chain and
it's
everything.
more and more.
Yeah.
Inventory management
yeah.
has been actually really complicated with Groovy Peach because we do have so many SKUs, and they're all really small pieces, and so
Right.
they're harder to count. We're in a good place now. I don't know. I'll answer quickly. I love the system that we have. Are you familiar with like a Kanban inventory
Yes.
system?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
so
familiar with Kanban, actually.
they're fun,
Cool.
and that's what we have, and it works perfectly now. And it took a good, probably 6 or 8 months to get it to work really well and get everyone on board with pulling the front stock and where to put that and move the back stock up and getting it to actually do what it's supposed to do. Ensuring
For
that the orders
listeners-
are placed. Yeah.
For listeners who aren't familiar with Kanban, let's
Mhm.
describe a little bit about what that is.
A Kanban is a Japanese word, and it's essentially a 2-bin inventory system. So it contains a front stock, which is in our use case larger. Probably sometimes it's equal, and then our back stock is essentially just a back supply of that same product. So what happens is when the front stock has been exhausted, used up, we pull that. In our case, it's like a little 2x2 container because they're tiny little earrings.
Yeah.
We pull that container out and we put it in a specific bin that's labeled to be ordered. And then our inventory manager weekly will come through, grab that bin, any of the little containers that are in that bin she orders. She puts those into a second bin that says ordered and on the way, and then that container waits there until that inventory is delivered. Once the inventory is delivered, it's refilled into those front stock containers and placed back inside the Kanban Kanban in our case is a little drawer that pulls out.
Yes.
And it has a spot for 2 of those containers. And so in the interim, while we're waiting for that inventory to restock, we use the back stock, which that took a while to figure out
How much you had to have?
how much back stock do we want?
How much
How much
certain piece sells.
Yeah.
How, like
Sure.
some pieces sell way quick. Some pieces don't sell as fast. And
Yeah.
that's when Lindsay's talking about it's taken months for
Yeah.
us to figure that
But
out.
this is the fun stuff, like these operational pieces of the business. I absolutely love and adore figuring them out. And we're still not there with our inventory management. I feel like this has been a huge step, and we still don't even have SKUs assigned to every single item. Everything's named. We have a lot of stuff in our Shopify and in our point of sale system.
Sure.
The next big hurdle we're working on is like tracking, how fast things like sell through and whatnot. And we're working on that now. So it's fun.
That's cool.
And you had to figure that out all on your own, right? So-
With the help of people along the way a little bit. But for the most part, yeah, it's just been, reading and talking to people and trying things out and learning how to, do business. Both of our husbands say all the time that you guys are just getting a business degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the fastest way to learn business is just to do it.
Yeah.
we call it the Groovy Peach MBA.
The
Yeah.
Groovy
Yes,
Peach,
there you go.
We are in it right now.
Certification coming soon.
I read a lot of business and marketing books and
That's awesome.
leadership, and that's what it is now.
You said earlier about wanting to make sure, like, little girls coming into the shop, wanting to have a really cool experience. I can think of, I have 3 little girls. I'm a girl dad. All of them have had their ears pierced. I didn't know about Groovy Peach beforehand. But,
Sorry.
So yeah,
Shoot.
sorry. Maybe if they get more, I'll come
He
to you guys.
didn't ask me,
Yes.
by the way. He just
I didn't.
did it on his
I
own.
just
Rude.
yeah. So, anyways, what do you do to make someone's first piercing memorable? Like, I think that was something that you highlighted.
Yeah.
Was you want to make sure that it's all about the experience. You're trying to get away from the status quo or the stigma of how piercing shops function, how they operate. So what are the things that that Groovy Peach does in order to make that day special for your customers?
So I think like the very first thing, I think it really starts with building our team and hiring. And we've really figured out like that anybody can learn how to pierce, really, especially with how we teach, and we know that we can teach them to become a competent piercer.
Sure.
But it's also recognizing that person who can make that experience good for somebody, who is a good communicator, who cares, who has like a lot of energy and just really wants to be there. And especially when it comes to kids, kids go off a lot of feeling, right?
Right.
Emotions. They don't always know how to express themselves with words. And I think it's a lot of just intuition and how they feel and how they feel that somebody treats them. And so that is like the very first thing where it starts is that our team will treat whoever walks through the door with respect and will be genuinely excited and happy that they're there, because that's how Lindsey and I started Groovy Peach, is just, hey, like, so happy you're here. Welcome in. We're so excited to pierce you. What are we piercing today? Like, just that's how our team interacts with people. And I think that is the first step for kids.
And I'll add to
Being
that,
welcome.
like where that starts is looking for specific employees, people who are aligned with our company core values. And as long as you can find somebody that is aligned that way, it's a lot easier to guide them through the soft skills and that are required to make that first piercing really special.
Cool.
Specifically offering to take lots of photos, getting down on their level, like with little kids, listening to them. We do not force piercings if they're nervous, if they're not ready.
I have sent kids out before, parents that want to try to force it, and kids really are just really, really struggling.
Yeah.
I have said before, hey, like, it seems like she's probably not quite ready. We really want this to be a good experience for her and not have it be something
traumatizing.
that's not traumatic for
Yeah.
everybody involved. Lots of times they go home and they have FOMO, and
They come back.
They will want to, they will think about it, and I promise you they will be back in a week. And that has happened a few different times, personally for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents have thanked me for that. Like, thank you for like not going along with just forcing them to get it done. And like, they're so happy that this has happened, and it ends up being better for everybody involved. And our piercers absolutely know that too. And it's just the way that we do things at Groovy Peach.
I think something else that came to mind while we were talking about roadblocks was what are the things, what's kind of like the dark side of being a piercer?
Or running a piercing
piercing business. Like, what are some struggles that are facts and realities of doing the roles that you're in?
Specifically with piercing, you cannot have a lot of control over how people care for their piercing after they leave your studio. And it's not fun when we have a client who has an infected or very sore piercing or something that's experiencing just poor healing in general. That's definitely an underside. I've seen a good handful of piercings with jewelry that's like embedded. There's been excessive swelling. People are sleeping on their piercings. They're touching them. They're not cleaning them, et cetera, et cetera. I would definitely say that's an underbelly of piercing, and having to be the person that is sometimes either you need to go to Instacare or physically digging removing the jewelry from their body, and like
Gotcha.
knowing that they're in pain and feeling really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's rewarding to be able to fix that for somebody too and be there for them. But yeah, I've had people over the years who, like one girl in particular, just cried and was like holding her boyfriend's hand as I was like getting a really and I've had that on my own ears. I know exactly what it feels like. And so to be doing that for somebody and like knowing it's hurting them and also helping them, definitely I would say an underbelly of piercing. It's not every piercing is going to turn out perfectly too. An underbelly is performing a piercing and feeling that feeling of your stomach dropping and realizing that you didn't hit your mark or your angle came out wonky and you have to redo the piercing or explain that to somebody. And that's where it takes a lot of courage and empathy in action to be able to like tell somebody that and own up to that and fix your mistake and sit with your failure as a piercer, when really like doesn't mean you're a failure as a person, but did you like do the piercing the exact right way?
Right.
No, and that's going to happen to everybody. I would say that's another underbelly. And I've experienced that too in the medical field too, of like trying to get a vein. I'm sure so many of us have that experience if they miss the vein or whatever, and you have to stick them again. And like, that is never a fun thing. Yeah. And it's all you, like nobody else had that needle in their fingers. There's no other way around explaining that off in any other way and having to do that. Especially for like a cosmetic, voluntary type of service is not fun.
Yeah. Is there, sorry, my last question.
Your last one.
Well, not my last question, but like just what that cluster of
in
thought.
The context.
Yeah. Is there continual education on like different ways to pierce, or is it like once you know how to pierce and you're good at it and you're a master piercer, whatever you want to call it, like, is that kind of it? Like or is there there's conventions or meetings or whatever?
Yeah. With piercing, I feel like it's a choose your own adventure because the industry at large is super unregulated. There are conventions. The APP is the Association of Professional Piercers. We went to their convention last year. We learned a lot. A lot of those takeaways came back into our studio and kind of refined and improved a few of our practices. But again, like it's not, no piercer or piercing studio is really like required to do these things.
Sure.
Internally, we have ongoing education, things like that, where we're continually just like doing refreshes or teaching new techniques, tweaking things, changing things. So yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. It's good that you're, because I think of like dentists and stuff, and it's like they're always looking at, but
I think the thing that's been interesting to me is I touched on this at the start, where at the very start of piercing, I fell in love with piercing and just becoming really excellent at quality piercings and understanding how to become better at it. And my focus has really shifted. Now I'm an entrepreneur. I always will be. Like, I have a new business idea. I
Yes,
tell you all the time.
You tell me, yeah.
So my passion is at this point shifted into like business and leadership and other types of things. And I've seen some of our staff fill those shoes of like, they are passionate about piercings and they want to learn everything they can learn to be the best at their piercings. And it's very rewarding to realize that I don't have to always be stagnated in my love of piercings and in piercing education. It's okay for me to pursue other like avenues that support the business and everyone within it at large, while there's someone else that can fill that role and is very happy to do that.
Okay.
Hailey and I are the biggest yappers alive.
No, this is
it's
great.
good.
We
This
should
has
have
been a
warned
great.
you.
No, this is awesome.
We all have hoodies that it's a Groovy Peach one, and it says Certified Yapper Club.
Certified yapper
So,
club.
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah, all of our staff have it, and they're really cute. But yeah, we are yappers.
No, it's-
Tyler knows that I yap though.
No, it's okay. I'm also a yapper. I'm the kind of person who like, like you spend as like people come to your house and you're talking on the couch, then you're talking at the door, and then
Oh
you're
my
talking
God.
on your way. That's
Follow 'em
a
out to the
yeah,
car.
You follow 'em out to the car.
Talking in the yard.
Yeah, then you're at the yard, and then you're standing at the front of the car.
And
talking
it's
to
2
them.
a.m.
And then
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
should we just like run over to Taco Bell? I'll just get in the,
That's right,
the
yeah.
passenger seat.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
feel like you just created a reel idea or a TikTok
I
video.
know. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
I like
We'll do
that.
it. We'll do it. So was there, aside from like the inventory things that we talked about, like what would you say, and if you have different answers, that'll be interesting too. What would you say was like kind of like your biggest surprise of kind of going into the business of kind of like running your own business or I mean, my experience is that oftentimes scaling the business is one of the things that becomes really challenging for folks. So what was one of the things that you found was like surprisingly difficult or something that you didn't expect? Maybe not necessarily a roadblock, but just something that you were like, oh, I didn't really think about this.
I think that's absolutely what it is. You said it right there. I think scaling a business, there's a lot of different aspects to it, and not all of it is as difficult as others, and every business is a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in our case, and I think like any service industry, right, you need to have trained professionals who can pierce for you, and that takes time. There's a ramp up there, and that can create the bottleneck there. So this summer, I worked specifically on this program that we built out to train piercers.
Mhm.
And it developed curriculum. We use our internal LMS, and it's still being refined right now, actually, and trying to cut that down even more. Because if you have turnover or we want to open another store, then it's like you're automatically waiting on training people, because whether or not somebody has had piercing experience before coming into Groovy Peach, they will be trained to our standard either way. So they have to go through that. We can't just, even if somebody's been piercing, we don't know how they've been piercing. We don't know what their quality, what their standard is and everything like that. So they, no matter what, have to get trained, and that can create a lot of friction and a lot of bottlenecking. And so that's one thing that we've been trying to work through and refine that process, so that we can get people into Groovy Peach like when we need and as quickly as possible.
I would say,
I think it's all the tools and the inventory, how expensive it can get. Like if they're just getting into piercing, and they're wanting to do it in a safe way, and do it up to like regulation and stuff, then there are a lot of tools and equipment that go into that are thousands and thousands of dollars.
Sure.
Autoclaves. I could just list off a ton of things. But that is something that I think would automatically keep a lot of people from being able to pursue this, or it could be seen as a big roadblock for someone just starting out in their role, to be like, oh, you mean I have to buy this autoclave for like $5,000 or even more?
Sure.
So that's something.
What I hear from you both as you're talking about this is it's interesting to hear that like I doubt, and maybe somebody's out there, feel free to prove me wrong if that's the case, but I doubt that there's like other organizations like yours that have like created such a high standard in terms of like education and like learning, because it's like
Around piercing.
right?
Yeah.
The idea of like this avenue of like, go find out your own way, train yourself, you pay for it, you're out of pocket, you do your thing, and then if you want to come work with us, then prove to us or work for us, prove to us that you can do it, and then we'll hire you. But you guys being like, no, we have created a curriculum, we have created a standard, we have a way of doing things here, and we expect you when you come into our organization to live up to this standard. Like, I don't know if that sounds irregular in the industry, generally speaking, to be able to kind of like set that. I don't know if that's what you've seen as well.
Yeah. I think the industry itself is so different, and we are very different in the industry, that I think you're spot on, that I don't know exactly if there's anybody else doing things exactly the way that we are. Just in general, I think that what has made Groovy Peach really successful is that there's not a lot of other places that are doing what we're doing, and there was that gap, and we've filled it. And so I think in the employee space, we're very competitive too.
Oh, sure, because you're getting like the best people.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And we are investing in their professional development to become piercers, and also beyond that too. Like our general manager started as a piercer, and she's now managing our inventory system, and she's building like integrations between softwares, and she's learning how to do coding.
Oh,
and
wow, yeah,
doing
okay.
all sorts of
That's
things,
cool.
same as me. Yeah. One of our other amazing piercers, our manager of experience, started out as an apprentice, and we taught her how to pierce, and she's been here a long time, and she's been working hand in hand with Hailey, building in a curriculum and learning how to build slide decks in Canva, and how to run a project and write a project plan. And we've hired several consultants to come in like in different fractional capacities to invest in those types of like professional skills for myself, for Hailey, and not just myself and Hailey. Those are passed on to a huge pool of our current employees who are really interested in the fact that we're a startup business, and that we're very growth minded and want to continue to grow, and they want to grow with us. And I think that's where we're very differentiated, mostly in the piercing space, is we're investing in piercers to do the art of piercing, and professionals, and that we love watching their growth happen and being a part of it and being the beneficiary of it. And I could like continue yapping about this ad nauseum.
But even your aesthetics of Groovy Peach, like I think of a piercing place, and it was often like dark and just kind of like concrete floors and cold. But I haven't been to Groovy Peach, and I have every intention just like come check it out.
Yes.
There's some series of content that I want to make with all of our guests. But I think that the photos and videos that I've seen on social media, it's bright colors. It's very welcoming. It's very family friendly. Kids love it. They're having fun, and it's like a whole endeavor for the entire family rather than just that one person in like this cold, concrete, dark room.
Yeah.
Which is cool. You're building a brand, right?
It's really, really fun. It's really like, it is designed to be welcoming for everybody. And lots of people, like, I feel kind of bad. Like, Lindsey went and got piercings for her 30th birthday on her own. And I went when I got my nostril, and I was alone. And we very much encourage group piercings at Groovy Peach. We have them on our menu. We want people to come with their friends. We want people to come with their sisters, their family. We have moms and daughters come and get pierced together. And it doesn't need to be sterile in the sense that it's just depressing and
lacking personality.
And dark.
A human touch,
Right.
connection. And our mission statement is we inspire creativity, growth, and belonging. And that goes for our clients and our employees, our staff, Hailey and I, all of us together. Our entire mission is to create an environment where people feel inspired to be creative, where they feel like they belong, and where they can I view piercings too as a growth journey. It's a very big milestone for a lot of people in many different walks of
for sure.
their lives.
And different cultures have it as well.
Especially here in Utah, I feel like we're in a very different mix of people, and piercings mean something very different from one person to the next.
Right.
Hailey, even a couple of weeks ago, pierced a nostril on a 10-year-old, and it was for cultural reasons. And but my point with that growth is, like, I talk about growth as our employees, like, becoming better piercers and their own professional development in their careers. And my hope for them is that, you know, probably Groovy Peach is not like the be all end all stop for them.
Yeah.
I want them to, like, reach a point that they can get as much development in their careers and their skills that when they move on, they can go do whatever they want. And same for piercings for our clients. Piercings represent a lot of personal growth and a big step and a milestone in, like, a body modification. And that's where, to answer your question about a sterile piercing environment, I don't think that it's as easy to come by, where you have a piercer that will sit down with you and have all kinds of empathy in the world to listen to you talk about why this piercing is scary, or who's going to be upset with you and judging you for getting the piercing. And they sit there with that with you and listen and, like, hold your hand and walk you through it. And also are silly and will help you pick out the very prettiest jewelry. And we have an amazing selection, and that's where the creativity comes in and things like that.
What I love to hear about the conversation so far is, like, hearing the experience for people who come to Groovy Peach is, like, embedded through your culture all the way from employee selection, training, you know, employee selection, hiring, training, interaction and experience all the way from beginning to top. Like, you guys, it's amazing. You guys have essentially created not just a business, but you've created a culture around the people that you have and the way that you want to operate. And I think that's awesome.
In the last few minutes that we have here, is there anything that we haven't covered that you two are like, ooh, I really want to talk about this on the podcast?
I don't know, some fun facts that I'll happily share. Groovy Peach is completely bootstrapped to date. All of our locations, all of our inventory, all of our hiring has been done by reinvested retained earnings.
Awesome.
Cool.
So I think that's something in 3 years of growth. We've done really well. We've tripled and doubled our revenues every year over year, and that's been really fun to see. Again, like, if we go back to that 80 square foot salon suite space, I did not think that 3 years later we would be having a $2 million business. And that's, like, really cool for me. And it's really cool for Hailey. And it's just, that's the very best part of all of it, is that Hailey is, like, shoulder to shoulder right there doing this with me, and, like, being able to share that success with her, and also a shoulder to cry on when things are hard, and, like, someone who really understands has been really what's made so much of it so meaningful for me. And I would assume that Hailey would say the same there.
I would say, yes, the exact same thing. I think that something, like, so meaningful about this whole thing, me and Lindsey always say too, like, things get hard and then they get better and then they'll get hard again. And I think that something that we've really learned, though, is, like, number one, our relationship matters, like, the very most. Mm-hmm. And if we take care of that, then we can take care of Groovy Peach, and everybody will be healthy. And I've loved that. I've learned that with her. We've both gotten better. I think in a lot of ways there's still a lot to learn, and we still mess up sometimes, but I love that. I feel like Lindsey really can listen to me and understand me, and she's the person who knows most how I feel, and I think I'm the person who knows most how she feels too. And I do love that, like, I have that partner to, like, go through this with. And then, like, the one last thing, kind of building on what you said, a really, really fun, like, full circle moment story that we have, that 10-foot square, or that 10, gosh, I can't talk.
80 square feet.
80 square feet.
Thank
you. How did we not share this?
We
this
didn't
is the
share
most
it.
exciting part.
It's amazing. So that little tiny space, tiniest suite in the entire
And Tyler's
salon
been here,
suite.
so you will be able to picture this.
You'll know what I'm talking about. So we actually are the proud new owner, leasees,
Tenants.
That's, yeah.
of that building.
That's so funny. I thought about that. I was like, you guys should go buy the building just for, but
so
like
that
you did
dream
that.
came true.
Guess what?
That's amazing.
It is now going to be called Groovy Peach Piercing Co. on the outside of that building.
Oh, that's cool. Congrats to
And
you
now
guys.
all the
Construction is
all the
underway.
partitions that were there.
So 3 of
are
those
all
walls
now
are
yours.
knocked down now, Tyler.
Really?
Yeah. So if you walk in there, 3 of those walls are knocked down. We have to do construction in phases.
Yeah, because you're operating and
Yeah.
Right. Remember how we're like a really scrappy little business? We can't just like close we don't have the luxury of closing for several months while we do construction.
Yeah.
So we have this awesome contractor, but he's worked out with us to be able to do things in phases. And so we're underway there. And it's pretty crazy to walk in and have half those walls knocked down, and the space is huge, and it's really fun.
It's
That's
all
really
ours.
cool.
It is all ours.
And this is the type of thing that just feeds me, as like I need like fresh meat to chew on all the time. Like I just thrive on something new and a project. And so it's really fun that this deal took a long time. I think we started this in spring of last year, trying to negotiate for that space.
Right.
And so it's just been a long time coming. And now that we're finally underway and we have, construction happening on a daily basis and we're seeing the changes, super rewarding. And our staff is like so excited. They come in every day and they're like, oh, look what the contractor
That's
did.
awesome.
This wall's knocked down today. And
Yay.
like getting doors and framing up next week. And that part's really fun.
We have the
that's
cutest
I'm going to be
signs.
sad when it's
Yeah.
over. But then we'll open another
But
store.
then you'll have it.
That'll be
that's
another
amazing.
one.
And we'll be ready to open another store. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Well,
That's
tell
so
us about, as we wrap up, tell us where people can find you, your social media handles, and locations.
Social media handle, Groovy Peach Piercing Co. Follow us there. It's really, really fun.
Just on Instagram?
Just on Instagram.
Okay.
Yes. I am very involved in our Instagram, and I love seeing where it goes. So come follow us. Also TikTok. Oh my gosh. What is our TikTok?
The
I think
TikTok
it's also
handle's
Groovy
the same.
Peach. It's
Groovy
the same.
Peach
Okay,
Piercing
cool.
Co. on
Piercing Co.
TikTok.
Yep. We have a Facebook page. So
Our 3 locations are in Orem, Bountiful, and South Jordan. So our Orem store is right off of 3rd East and 8th South. Just like, familiar with Orem at all?
Yeah.
Just a little bit south of the mall. There's like a Zurcher's there.
Yep.
That's our smallest store. And then our South Jordan store is on 106 South and around 3400 West. Like there's a Walmart, Culver's, Costco
Yeah.
right in
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
And then our Bountiful store is right off of 2600 South.
Okay.
South.
I grew up in Salt Lake County, so the
Yeah.
addresses in the
Yeah.
other counties have
Bountiful.
always confused me, and I
Look,
don't think
use
they'll
the
ever
Google, you'll
understand it.
It's
Find it
literally
on
right on the border
Yeah.
of North Salt Lake and Bountiful. So
Oh, okay,
2600
cool.
South. There's like a quite a big development in there that's been there for a long time, and we're just right up in there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsey, Hailey, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Appreciate
for
your
having
time.
us.
This has been great.
You guys are great. Thanks for the conversation.
Thank you.
That was really fun.